What if your teenage years left scars that you are still carrying today? In this episode, I sit down with Veronica. She opens up about feeling lost in those years and how she's been rebuilding her life through reflection and friendships. Hey Veronica, welcome. For those of us who don't know you, would you be able to share a little bit about yourself?
My name's Veronica and I live in Bellingen, so the mid-north coast of New South Wales, and I am currently a high school teacher. Didn't expect to be, I'm actually not trained. I'm trained in primary school, but I've ended up in high school, which has been really nice. I love working with young girls and being kind of a big sister to them and watching them grow and just being a safe space. So it's been really nice.
It's like such a rewarding experience for you as well.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I feel very happy with where I've ended up doing that.
Fantastic. And if you were to write an autobiography of your life, what would the title be and why?
The thing I thought of, the first thing was, I think it's because I have concert tickets to her, but there's a Casey Musgraves song called Slow Burn. And it's been my favorite song for a really long time. And it's about just taking your time and how becoming yourself is a super slow and steady process, and just growing into yourself. And I just think it's a really beautiful song. And I think that's where I am in my life at the moment. So that was my first thought.
Yeah. Awesome. So taking your time. I love that.
Yeah.
And well, looking back on your slow burning at the moment, what's been your most memorable challenge, struggle or setback that you've faced today?
Couldn't think of a specific moment in time, but I definitely think a lot about when I was around the age of 15, 16, being a early teenager. I found very tricky. I think it was around that age that I started getting a bit disconnected from myself. I wasn't super close with my group of girlfriends at school and didn't feel, very connected maybe. And I think at that age there was also a big growing culture with social media and boys and everything. That was a lot around competition and comparison, and it just created quite an unhealthy environment for me. So I remember that being really hard. I think when I started to feel sexualized at a young age and got more obsessed with how I looked, that kind of spiraled into disordered eating and not looking after myself and not being a good friend and all the things that I think are really important to grow up. I definitely lost track of. So yeah, just those formative years were a process and very hard and feeling very lost, I would say, doing that. But yeah.
Really hard to hear, Veronica, and I guess for people who are listening, I guess most of us can relate to it, right? Teenage years can be hard. I'm curious, what was particularly hard for you? Because I heard the words like competition and comparison. What do you think was something that was just really hard for you during that time?
I think I didn't notice at the time because this is something that I had to learn growing up, but I think not having those loving, caring female friendships that I have now was probably really, really hard because you're not having people around you to build you up and support you. And I did have nice people around, but I think when everyone's so competitive and obsessed with how they look, it just creates quite a toxic environment, which looking back isn't anyone's fault in particular. It's just being a young girl and navigating the world. It was tricky, and we all weren't looking after ourselves, so how could we expect to be good friends to each other? So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, it does. And how do you think that shaped you now, having gone through that hard teenage years? How did it shape your mindset today?
I think it made me aware of what it feels like to be disconnected from myself and my body and my values and my community. So I think now I'm very quick to notice when something's off in my life and when I'm losing interest or not spending time with my loved ones. And I kind of take that as a sign that I need to come back to myself and be around people I love and things I love to just reground myself, I guess.
And you mentioned that you've now surrounded yourself with more supportive female friendships. Do you think that's kind of a step that you've taken from a learning that you've taken from that teenage
definitely.
experience?
Yeah, and I think learning how to be a good friend is really important, and how to listen to each other, because I think that's a skill that we're not taught very young, is how to actually be very empathetic and just see things from that person's perspective, and how to communicate with each other, because I think as women we do have a lot more fights with each other because we're so close, so it's easy to have conflict and not know how to resolve it. So I think that's a very important skill to learn.
I love that. I'm curious, how did you learn the skill, and what are your top tips about being a better friend and listening well?
I feel like I'm still learning more and more, but just the basic thing that you even learn this in primary school, just treat others the way you would like to be treated, and putting yourself in other people's shoes and how they're feeling, because I think when we're in conflict especially, we're thinking so much about ourselves and what we need, and which is just normal, especially when you're young. And I think it's just taking that time and really reflecting on how you can change and be a better person, which is really hard to do. And we're all so different, so it is difficult sometimes to understand other people's emotions and how they might be feeling. But yeah, me and my friends, I have a really close group of girlfriends now, and I think it has been a process learning how to communicate with each other, and how we all have different needs and what we need from each other, and when we need space or when we need love. So yeah, just trying your best to understand other people. But yeah.
Would you say that the key right now, from what I've heard, is actually just self-reflection? Sounds like a very important part of communicating and making friends. Does that sound
right?
And
I think also not and not reacting too much from like emotion. Like, it's so easy to react, so it's good to take a step back sometimes and process how you're feeling and why you're feeling that way before communicating. So yeah, but I'm still learning to be better at this as well. It's a process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It is definitely a work in progress. As you said earlier, it's a bit of a slow burn in life, isn't it? You're always growing and learning each day.
Yeah, no one's perfect. People make mistakes, and not holding your friends as well to things they've done in the past when you've moved on from it. But yeah.
I think that's really helpful. And I'm curious, you mentioned earlier about actually just not reacting to your emotions in that moment. How do you actually go about in self-regulating in that time? Any tips that you have for people?
I think when you're really close with someone, it's different, the kind of relationship, but with my best friends or even a partner, you can say, I just need a little bit of space to process and to cool down before you have a conversation, so you're not hurting each other's feelings or saying things too reactively. And yeah, learning to do that is super helpful in any relationship you have, even with family or anyone. Yeah, just take a step back and slow down.
I love that. So just actually letting people know that I would like some space to process. You know how when you do tell people that I would like to take some time and have some space, how do people usually respond to you when you actually share that with them?
I've had it both ways. I've had it's, yep, of course, it's okay, and it's really helpful, but in the same time, that can really hurt people's feelings, especially if they take that as not coming from a place of love. So I think on that, it's important to also say, I am doing this because I care about you and I care about our relationship, because I think sometimes we can take things very personally and not see someone's true intentions when saying something like that. But yeah, it's different for everyone. Yeah.
And if you were to tell someone who's listening today, before this challenge kind of hits her, so what would it be? What is one piece of advice that you'd share with people?
I think just really cultivating real and wholehearted friendships with girls around you and creating a strong community, I think, is the number one thing that we can do as young women or older, so we have that safe space for when we have challenges to talk to people and to just feel safe and no, it's okay, because I feel like when I was going through things very young, I didn't have, like, obviously I have a beautiful family, but I didn't want to talk to them about all the yucky, awkward teenage stuff that I was going through. So I think having closer relationships with my friends would have been really helpful during that time. So I think that's really important. And also just like continuing to do things that you love. I think I'm around teenage girls all the time now, and I see how from like year 7 they're all so keen with their hobbies and little things they love, and it can slowly drop off as they get a bit older. They just lose interest in like dance or music or school, because you do get wrapped up in other things that are maybe not as important. So yeah, just holding on to good friends and things that you love.
I think these are very helpful 2 tips there that you've given, cultivating good friendships and to actually ensuring that you still keep your own hobbies that brings you joy in your life and not actually forgetting about them. Yeah, I love that. Any other things that you might want to share about cultivating good friendships? Or how do you actually continue to cultivate friendship when you're a bit further away from people?
Yeah, it's actually been really hard. It's probably the most stressful thing in my life at the moment, is feeling like I don't, because all my girlfriends are back home in Sydney and Wollongong. So that's been really hard, especially because some of those girls I've known for 10 years. So it is really hard to create new female friendships. Yeah, I think I'm still trying. I'm meeting some girls or people at work out and just making the effort to try to spend time with them, but also not forgetting about my other friends and still making sure that we're calling each other and checking in on each other, and they come up and visit a lot, which is really special. So yeah, I wish I knew the answer to make friends, especially I'm in my teens. I think it's a bit harder than when you're younger, but you just have to keep talking to people and being interested in people and trying your best. But yeah, I haven't got a lot at the moment around here, so we'll see how I go.
But thanks for sharing. I think what was really important, which I took away from, was actually the importance of making effort both ways. You making effort to actually maintain friendship and with your old friends, but also making the effort to make new friends. And I could also see that you're reciprocating, your friends are also reciprocating by actually visiting you.
Yeah, they're incredible. I'm very lucky with the girls that I'm around, because I think all the girls as well, we all have different jobs and partners and stuff like that. Like, they're all girls that put in a lot of effort into their female friendships because they know how important it is. So I think that's been really lucky to have that in my life. But yeah,
it's great. Thanks so much, Veronica, for coming on and sharing your story. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
The one thing I'm walking away from Veronica's story is this: noticing when we are disconnected can be our compass. Instead of ignoring it, we can pause, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves and with the people we love. A reminder to pause before reacting and respond with thoughtfulness and love. Now that's a toolkit I think we could all use. Now, if this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs a reminder too. And if you're new here, welcome. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Bye for now, friends.